Her alpha, her curse. Sienna just wants to blend in at her new school after years of abuse and being alone. But everything changes when she meets Zayn. He is tall, mysterious, and impossible to ignore. She doesn't know that he is a werewolf, and even more importantly, that he is meant to be with her. Zayn isn't just falling for Sienna, he's ready to bring down the world for her. Episode 1. Sienna's point of view. I entered my new school. I could feel the nervous chills going down my back. My uncle Wade and I had just moved from Kentucky. He thought it was time for a new scene, which meant that someone started to notice my bruises. Bruises meant trouble. I don't really like new schools. People always look at you and ask you questions like, "Where are you from?" I guess I've always been a little shy. I don't like meeting new people. It has always sounded like a risk. In some ways, it's a good thing that I'm more alone and we stay longer. I opened the door to the entrance of my new hill hole. My new classmates all looked at me right away. I knew why they were staring. I'm new and very short. I stand a little over 5'4", but I round it up to 5. My uncle is probably to blame. I've never been given the right meals or diet. In 6th grade, I stopped growing. I was always behind when all the girls had their growth spurts. I chose not to wear my platform Vans, which were about an inch high. Instead, I wore a pair of black high-top Converse shoes I found at a thrift store in our last town. To hide any signs of my uncle, I wore a long-sleeved dress and black tights. I walked down to the door with the signing office above it and went inside to see the receptionist. She was old, and by old, I mean wrinkled like a prune. She looked up when I walked in with her thick-framed glasses. "Hello dear, how can I help you?" she said in a sweet, grandmotherly voice. "Hello, ma'am. My name is Sienna Whitmore. I'm new to this school and was told to get my schedule here." She smiled and gave me a few papers, one of which had my schedule and another of which had a map of White Fern Hill High. "You have the sweetest accent, dear. Where did you move from?" she asked. "Oh, well, I was born in Colorado but grew up in Kentucky. We move around a lot." I smiled and said, "That's nice. Okay, dear, I hope your first day goes well." With that, I left the office. I wasn't surprised by all of my regular classes when I looked at my schedule. Even though I'm a junior, I was ahead in school and took college-level classes. You have to take 2 electives at White Fern Hill High. I was given art, home, and so on. My first class was calculus, then. I loved maths. Isn't that crazy? I don't know what it was about it, but I liked that there was always a right answer and no mistakes. I saw that my class was down the hall and to the left when I looked at the map. I felt like people were staring at me as I walked, not like the other kids did, but really staring. When I looked over my shoulder, I saw him. His hair was dark brown and short on the sides, but a little long on top. Even from 6 meters away, I could see the color of his white eyes. He was really, really tall, like 6'5" tall. I looked like a little person next to him. His jaw was strong, and there was a little stubble on his chin. His lips were just the right size and made me want to kiss them. He was strong, but not in a scary way. He was very pretty. Oh my God, I'm staring. Stop looking. I quickly turned around and walked straight into my class. Zayn, she was so pretty that I couldn't stop looking at her. She couldn't have been more than 5 feet tall, but she was beautiful. Her long brown hair fell in loose curls down to her hips. She was thin, maybe even too thin. I wanted to bring her home to the pack and make her dinner. I thought it couldn't get any better, but then she turned her head and looked me right in the eye. Her eyes were a beautiful ocean blue. I looked at her delicate features as I trailed down her face. Her cheeks were rosy and had freckles on them that covered the bridge of her cute little button nose. Then there were her lips, which were full and pink and tasted so good. I just wanted to kiss her. What? Why? She is a person. Even though she smelled great, I could still smell it. She smelled like strawberries that were just ripe. I need to stop looking. Don't forget we have a friend, my inner wolf growled. I know, Asher, I remember, but I really want her to be it. My wolf was angry with me for not paying attention to his warning. I wasn't going to ask her out or anything, I just want to watch her. I know he's right. I wouldn't be happy either if my true partner was looking at someone else. It's a matter of territory. When she turned away from me and walked away quickly, I couldn't help but feel deflated. But then something I never thought would happen happened, walked into my calculus class. I ran into the room and saw her talking to Mr. Prescott, our teacher. He pointed to the empty seat in the back, which was right in front of mine. Yes, I get to smell strawberries all the time. I smiled at this, but my wolf wasn't too happy again. I saw my future beta when I sat down and looked to the side. He was sitting next to me. Theo is my best friend. I cared for him like he was my brother. Theo and I looked a little bit alike. We are cousins, but he was a little shorter and less muscular than I am. His wolf was just as big as mine, though. It's too bad he wasn't as strong. Theo has been my best friend since I was born. There are baby pictures of us all over the walls of my house. Hey bro, how's your morning? I didn't see you when I left the house. When did you even get up? Theo asked. Left early, woke up around 6 o'clock. I had to go see Mrs. Foster about my essay, I said without any emotion. I did a great job on the essay, but now my teacher wants me to join her college English class. It's going to be a lot more work for me with all my alpha training and pack business, but Mrs. Foster didn't take no for an answer. Hey, who's she? He whispered, elbowing my shoulder and then pointing at Half Pint. I don't know, I mumbled. As soon as the class got settled, Mr. Prescott, our teacher, introduced Half Pint to everyone. Class, as you can see, we have a new student here. Please introduce yourself and tell us 3 things about yourself. The beautiful woman with brown hair got up from her seat and looked around at everyone before she spoke. Hi, everyone. My name is Sienna Whitmore, but everyone calls me Sienna. I just moved from Kentucky. I'm 16 years old and I love dogs. She has an accent, and she'd be the perfect partner. Sienna's point of view: I'm stuck in class learning the formulas I need to use to solve all the problems on our worksheet. Mr. Prescott's calculus class was the most boring thing ever. I felt a pencil stab me in the back while Mr. Prescott was talking. I turned around in my seat and looked right into the white eyes of the forest. The boy with brown hair shook his head and smiled as he pointed to the kid next to him. The boy looked just like him, but his hair was a lighter brown, his skin was lighter, and he wasn't as good looking. "Hey, my name is Theo. Aren't you a little too young to be in a college course?" He said this with a fake accent. I hated being made fun of or judged in any way. I turned to him and looked him straight in the eye. In my sweet country accent, I said, "Aren't you a little too dumb to be in a college course?" Fire. Theo's smirk turned into a big smile. I turned my head to look at the boy with brown hair. He had a pretty smile on his face that made him look happy. Man, was he ever good looking. "Can I ask you what your name is?" "Zayn." "Well, you already know my name." I laughed and turned around to hear what our teacher was saying. I thought class would take longer than it did. I got through all of my morning classes with no trouble, and I also managed to stay to myself. None of my other teachers made me introduce myself, which was a huge relief. There were a lot of people in the cafeteria, and it was busy. There were a lot of tables in the school's indoor cafeteria. Outside the cafeteria was the schoolyard, which was just a lot of grass where you could sit if you wanted to. The cafeteria was full, and students were either talking behind each other's backs or fighting. Not my style. There were a lot of trees in the yard, like a sycamore tree. There weren't many people in the yard, so I sat down in front of the tree and leaned against the smooth trunk. Today was a nice day outside. It was just right, not too hot or too cold. I looked through my backpack to find my Chrome ebook. Everyone got a laptop from the school to do their homework on. I opened it, logged in, and made a new tab. I typed in available jobs in the Fernhill area as I hit the search key. There were only 6 jobs available, and I was only qualified for one, a waitress at the diner in town. I took advantage of the chance and sent them my resume and application by email. I hoped they would respond. The bell rang as soon as I was done. Home economics was my next class. Home EC was a decent class. We only learned how to do our taxes in the future. I already knew this because my uncle won't do them. The last class I had that day was college English. When I walked into the class, I saw that it was full of couches, bean bags, and armchairs. There was even a footstool. Mrs. Foster was the name of my new teacher. She had wild red hair and was short like me. She reminded me of the teacher from the Magic School Bus. After I got in, I sat down in one of the empty armchairs and waited for class to start. Zayn came into the class just as everyone was getting comfortable. I couldn't stop looking at him. Oh my God, was I really drooling? Is there anything more sad about me? He saw me and just smiled before I looked away. Ugh, could he be more annoying? Sienna's point of view English class was my favorite class overall, and art class was my least favorite. I'm not very creative. I walked home with the other students after class. The school is about a half-hour walk from the house where Wade and I live. I don't mind walking through it. The sound of my feet tapping against the pavement as I walk to my little beat is calming. I get home at about 3:40. The house is blue, but it needs a new coat of paint. The carpet has stains on it, and most of the tiles in the house are cracked. So far, it's my favorite place to live with Wade. Why? All of the doors, though, have locks on them. The last few places we lived didn't have a lock on the bathroom door. I would always bring a chair into the bathroom and put it against the door. I did the same thing to the door to my room. It was the only thing that kept Wade and his slimy friends away from me. A lot of the places we lived didn't do much to keep me safe and comfortable. You learn things from a young age. Always find a way to keep the door closed. If you've never used an old cooker, don't get too close to it. Always have a way out. When I got to the house, I quickly walked down the hall and into my room, closing the door quietly. I don't want to be the one to wake Wade up if he's asleep. That would be a problem. When the door closes, I run to my bed and take my laptop out of my backpack. I check my email and see that I've gotten the email I've been waiting for. The manager of the diner wants to interview me. Hank, the manager, wants to talk to me tomorrow at 4:30. Great. I reply to the email and say that I will meet him at the diner. I'm putting the laptop in my backpack and putting it away. I put on my pajamas because I knew I had a long day. Since I was in 5th grade, I've had the same pair of Hello Kitty pajamas. They're starting to wear out, and I'll finally be able to buy some new ones after I get a job. I quickly walk into the bathroom, close the door quietly so it doesn't make any noise, and start brushing my teeth. I got my mother's straight teeth and small nose, and my dad gave me his thick hair. I see my dissatisfaction with my body reflected in my face. I hate being so short and thin. We don't know where I got my height from. I looked pale and sick. I began to braid my hair into a French braid that went down my back. To keep it from getting in my way and getting tangled while I sleep. In the morning, all I have to do is take out the braids and let the waves go. I went to bed after washing my face. I was hungry, but Wade hadn't gone to the store yet, and if I bothered him, he'd beat me up. I slowly walked into my room, locked the door, and got into bed. I prayed that one day my life would be different, that I would be different, and that I would have someone to love and hug me, and that I would give him everything. I closed my eyes and dreamed of having a wonderful life with the boy with brown hair. Zayn's point of view. My parents and Theo yelled, "Happy birthday!" It's 6 in the morning. What the hell? I complained and rolled back over to try to sleep. 2 hours until school starts. I have no idea what they're thinking about their birthday. I need to sleep. I don't like mornings, but who does? My parents are the only ones. I can't sleep anymore, so I guess I'll get up. I will officially be the alpha of the Shadow Claw Pack now that I'm 18. I just need my mate now, and I hope to find her today since I'm old enough to do so. I go into the bathroom and look in the mirror. My hair is really messy. I do what I always do. I decided to wear a navy blue t-shirt with my jeans. Mum made some waffles. When I walk into the kitchen, I see a plate of waffles that is steaming. Theo smirks and says, "Alpha." I swear that guy's, but for some reason, I can't get rid of him. My dad looks at him with a dirty look. You should never be rude to the alpha or the older people. So, son, are you excited to go out and meet your mate? If you don't find her in our pack, you can always go to the other packs. My mum was from a different pack. The Ironheart clan is well known, and their alpha is a great leader who helps our pack a lot. I don't trust my friends in another pack. My wolf is getting angry. What do you want, Asher? We have to go, she's out there. It's time for me to go. I can feel the need if I don't leave. He'll come out and scare people to death. Here I go. Sienna's point of view. Bang. Bang. What the hell? Wade was trying to break into my room when I woke up. It's 3 o'clock in the morning. Hey, you dirty girl, open up. I don't pay attention to him. He might be drunk and high, and I don't know what will happen when he's like that. Wade got a little too touchy last month, and when I pulled away from him, he hit me in the eye and kept hitting me. There were bruises all over my stomach. I was lucky that the blows didn't break my rib. Hey, come on, open the door. Let's have a good time. Yeah, how about no? When the door broke open, I tried to go back to sleep. Wade was a big man. He had muscles that scared me. He started to walk over to me. He looked at my whole body. My nightgown was thin, so there was nothing to imagine. I pulled my blanket up so he couldn't see any part of me. Oh, you don't need to hide anything from me, he said with a laugh. At that point, I knew I had to leave right away or I would be raped. I took a look around my room. The lamp was next to my bed, and it was just big enough to break a little bit. I couldn't let him get to me. Sienna, you've always had a nice body, he says, and his eyes linger on my face. He began to walk over to the side of my bed. I could smell him. He smelled like booze and body odor. For someone my size, I was pretty quick. Wade started to get closer to me. It was now or never. I took the lamp off the table, stood on my bed, and hit him as hard as I could. He fell down in a big pile on the floor. I took a look around my room. It was too early to go to school, but I had to get dressed. I took my backpack, put in some new clothes and ran to the bathroom to change. I had to hurry because he could wake up at any moment. I put on my long-sleeved navy shirt and jeans. It was easy to take out my braids. I just ran my fingers quickly through the waves. I go to Wade's room. He usually kept a box of condoms and cash in the drawer by his bed. I found this out last year when we needed food. I looked for money in his room. I took the stack of hundreds and put them in my back pocket. I leave the house and go to school. I feel like crying. I haven't called since my parents did. I have to leave this place and get away from him. He wouldn't care if I stole that money, he wouldn't look for me. I was by myself, and that's fine with me. Things aren't perfect in my life, but they might get better. The schools are still empty as the hours go by. I sat on the ground under the beautiful branches of the sycamore tree and thought. I was leaving. I had the job interview today, and nothing could stop me from getting the job. I knew that there was a motel about 3 miles from the school. The school opens at 5:30. I go into the cafeteria and get breakfast for free. Today I had cereal and an apple. I was very thankful for the food. I hadn't eaten in a while and needed to get my energy up. A little girl comes and sits in front of me just as I'm finishing up. She smiles when I look up at her. She squeaks, Hi, I'm Kayla. Hello, I'm Sienna. It's nice to meet you, I say back. Her face instantly lights up with a beautiful smile. She was good looking. Kayla's skin was olive and her eyes were golden brown. Her hair was dark brown and very smooth. Kayla ate her cereal quickly, she was thin like me. To the point where you look a little hungry. Her clothes were too loose on her, just like mine. I knew that wherever Kayla came from wasn't much better than where I was. We had a short conversation about our classes and teachers. We chose to walk to the library because Grace didn't start for another hour. We did our homework quietly at a table in the back. I liked being with Kayla. She wasn't loud, and it wasn't weird when she was quiet. We split up and agreed to meet for lunch under the sycamore tree. I smelt something strange as I walked down the hall. It was a great mix of cinnamon and spice. I turned around to see where it was coming from. That's when I saw Zayn. Was it him? It couldn't have happened because he was too far away. I couldn't blink before our eyes met, and he was right in front of me in seconds. There was a big smile on his face. He was so pretty. He whispered, "Mate." "What?" I said quietly. I could hardly talk. I was so fascinated by him that his smell was too much for me. His hand slowly went up and touched my cheek. His touch was soft and made me tingle all over. I felt like my body was charged. In that moment, one word came out of my mouth. "You're mine." Zayn's point of view, "You belong to me," she said softly. My wolf howled with pride. She wants me. Her blue eyes are so beautiful that I can't help but look at them. She let her long hair down. She looked beautiful with all those waves in her hair. I was going to marry this lady. We will have puppies, and live together until we are old. I could see everything. She was young, but I can wait. For her, I'd wait forever. She gasped and her eyes got big all of a sudden. Oh my God! I'm so sorry. I don't know what got into me. Did you need help with something? Her words made my chest sink and my pride go out the window. She doesn't know who I am, she must think I'm a creep coming up to her. Mark her, and she'll love us. Do you know how stupid you are? We can mark her in the hallway. I want a mate. Asher growled. I had to think of something to say. I want her close to me. What if I frighten her and she doesn't want me? I wanted to ask you out. Yeah, ask you out. Oh boy, was I in trouble. I must look like a total idiot. Sienna, he was so cute that he seemed to be having trouble saying what he wanted to say. It was hard to believe he was asking me out. I wanted to reach up and kiss his face, which was turning red. I'm sorry, but I'm too short. I made my choice after looking him in the eyes. This time, I knew Wade wouldn't be there to watch over me. I could make friends and fall in love. I might love Zayn, and I might already love him a little. I smiled and said what I wanted to say when I looked up. Yes, do you want to go? Yes. Zayn's smile was so charming. He started to blush more, which made me blush too. I couldn't help but want to hug him, so I took a step forward and did it. His strong arms wrapped around me, and my whole body shook with pleasure. I felt safe, but he held me so gently, like I was the most fragile piece of glass. I've never been held like this before, at least not that I can remember. I was sure I had made the right choice. I didn't want to let go of him. I really wanted to be in his arms. He kept his hands on my hips even when I tried to pull away from him. There was something in his eyes that I couldn't quite put my finger on. It was a mix of want and need, but there was something else there that made me want to be with him even more. He took us to class, where we sat down and he sat behind me. A little while later, Theo came into the classroom. He smiled at me and winked like a famous player. I heard Zayn growl at that moment. Like a real growl. Theo's face turned pale, and his eyes got bigger as they looked at me. I turned around in my seat to get a better look at Zayn because he and Theo were looking at each other in a strange way. It was like they were talking to Scooter without saying anything. It was really strange. That made me turn around and look at the front, where I waited for the class to start. Zayn's point of view during his lecture, Mr. Prescott talked about who knows what, but all I could think about was Sienna. Her strawberry scent was so strong that it made me want to smell it. Finally, my wolf was happy. I was happy, but I was also angry. Theo kept trying to mind link with me, but I was ignoring him. He was fidgeting in his chair, so I knew he was mad at me for blocking him. Sienna was taking notes. I looked over her shoulder to see what she was writing, and she was taking notes in perfect cursive. She was so special and amazing, all of her eyes had hearts. That was so cute. When she turned her head, her blue eyes looked into mine. They were so blue that I got lost in them. They were eyes I could look into forever and never complain. Then they got very wide in shock as she looked away from me. Why did she turn away? Coming back to Earth, I saw Mr. Prescott frowning towards me. He was looking at me, waiting for me to answer a question I didn't hear. I moved out of the way so Theo could ask me the question. What is the answer for B? I answer the question right away after looking at the board. 13 to the 6th power is equal to B. Mr. Prescott nodded his head in agreement, turned to the board, and then finished his lesson. School is easy for me. I should have graduated a long time ago, but I wanted to stay with my friends. Once I graduate, I won't be going to college or anything. I am fully and completely responsible for Alpha. I was ready for it, but I still need a diploma. I was getting my rucksack ready when the bell rang. I got up and stood in front of Sienna. When I startled her a little, her beautiful eyes got big again. She picked up her bag and slowly got up from her desk. I took the chance to hold her hand when she tried to get past me. Her touch sent waves of pure happiness through my body. My big hands fit her small ones perfectly. Why are you holding my hand?" she said with a sigh. "Because I want to," I said with a smile. Her cheeks turned a bright pink color. I was so tired, this little lady had me wrapped around her finger, and I was happy to be there. Sienna, I loved how his hand fit perfectly around mine because it was so warm and big. His hands were soft. It felt great to hold onto him and get the tingles. People started to look at us when we left class. Some girls glared at me, while others smiled and cheered me on. I was on top of the world. I was so happy just to be with him. I looked up at his pretty face and saw that he was looking back at me with his white eyes. He walked me to my science class, and when I was about to go inside, he pulled me towards him and held my hand tighter. I hit him right in the chest, and my whole body lit up with joy. He made me feel so good. He smiled down at me and put his hands around my waist as I looked up at him. He leaned down and kissed me softly on the cheek. It was so sweet and gentle that my face turned as red as a tomato. I said goodbye and walked into chemistry. The classes I had in the morning went by pretty quickly. My head was spinning all morning. I couldn't stop thinking about Zayn. When I got closer to the sycamore tree, I saw Kayla standing under it, smiling up at me. We waved at each other, put our book bags down, and then walked to the cafeteria. Today was a lucky day for both of us because we got free lunch. It was a spicy chicken sandwich with milk, carrots, and a fruit of our choice. I picked another apple because I thought it looked better than an orange. We had a big chicken nugget between 2 hamburger buns for lunch. Even though our food didn't look good, I was lucky that lunch today would keep me full until tomorrow morning. We went back to the tree, sat down, and ate the rest of our food in silence. Kayla turned to me and asked, "What are you doing after school today?" She was holding a carrot halfway to her mouth, waiting for a response. "I have a job interview," I said with a smile back at her. We kept talking about nothing and everything. I was so into what we were talking about that I didn't see Zayn until he sat down next to me. "Hey, what are you doing outside? No one else is out there?" he asked, his voice full of worry. I don't get why he was so worried that I was alone. We weren't really alone because it was just Kayla and me. We were there for each other. I liked being by myself because it gave me time to think. "Kayla's with me," I said, smiling at him and looking at Kayla. She waved shyly and then looked down right away. "Come have lunch with me. It'll be fun, my friends are dying to meet you." Zayn was so cute that she smiled down at me and was excited. I didn't want to hurt his feelings, but I didn't like crowds or meeting new people. I liked being around Kayla because she was nice and we were both going through tough times. Because we were both sad, I could trust her right away. I turned to Zayn and whispered my answer, "No, thank you. I'm fine here with Kayla and having fun." Kayla smiled back at me when I said this. I had picked her over a group of kids, and I knew it meant a lot to her. Zayn's face fell into a frown, but then he smiled back at me, as if a light had come on. "I guess I'll just have to eat here with you," he said with a wink. Zayn's point of view, it hurt a little that she didn't want to have lunch with my friends and me. They were all from the pack, and Luna would be there soon. She would have a big say in what I did as a husband and a wife. Sienna seemed a little uncomfortable with my offer, so when she said no, I knew I had to stay with her. I had to make plans for the date I hadn't really planned on. She might like films. Or a nice meal. If it were up to me, we would go to Clyde's diner, but I'm not sure. We don't even have a McDonald's, so this is the only burger place in town. Fernhill is a small town with about 20,000 people living there. About 10% of them are in the pack. I'm even more excited to go on our date now that I can see my beautiful angel. I ask, "Sienna, what are you going to do after school today?" Kayla laughs and says, "Oh, I just asked Sienna the same thing. Sienna smiles and says, I'm going to a job interview today. I don't want my daughter to have to work. Of course I'll support her, I'm not against her working, but she's just so thin. I want her to eat more, and she can. I don't know why she's so thin. Does she eat at home? I smile down at Sienna when I look at her. If only she knew how much I want to take care of her. Where is the interview? Well, I think it's at Clyde's diner in town, she says in a sweet voice. She's at Clyde's. It's not just my favorite place to eat. Clyde, the owner, is also part of my pack. It's not common for a pack member to live and work outside of our boundaries, but we made an exception for Clyde. I know him and his friend Nora will take good care of my girl. He's a good man. That's great. I'm sure you'll get the job. With that in mind, I should talk to Clyde to make sure she gets the job. Clyde, yes, Alpha. Employ Sienna and treat her well. She is your future, Luna. Yes, Alpha. Now that that's out of the way, I can stare at my beautiful friend until the bell rings. Sienna's point of view. Zayn has this strange habit of staring at people, and it's starting to freak me out. He will look at nothing for a full minute and then look at me for 20 more. What's so interesting? Do I have food on my face? Is there a bug in my hair? I'm done now. What are you looking at? I ask, giving him a dirty look. He smiles at me more and more, and his face brightens up. He gives me the smartest answer any man could give a woman. Pure beauty, yes. My heart stopped beating, and my cheeks turned as red as a tomato. Kayla started to laugh, and Theo looked at us with disgust. School went by quickly. I was sitting down in Mrs. Foster's class before I knew it. This was the best class I've ever had. There are a lot of books in Mrs. Foster's class. She has all the old ones, but she also has some new ones. We had only just begun to read Romeo and Juliet. I had already read it at one of my old schools. It's suggested for sophomores, but Fernhill didn't have any reading requirements. The teachers had to make all the decisions. Okay, class, who wants to be Juliet's voice? I hated that she had the class voice the scenes. She turned her head and looked around the room for her next victims. Nobody wants to help? Okay, I guess it's my lucky day. Sienna, why don't you be our Juliet? She said with a big smile. She started looking for a partner to be Romeo. She looked at Theo. Hey Theo, Zayn yelled, I have to be Romeo. It scared everyone in our class, even me. Zayn's face was so cute he started to blush after he outroars. Theo had a smirk smeared on his face as he stared at Zayn. Okay, Theo, you can be Tybalt and Zayn can be Romeo. We start reading after she finishes naming the actors and actresses. That which we call a rose by any other name, it would smell just as sweet. So Romeo would keep that dear perfection that he owes, even if he weren't called Romeo. Without that title, Romeo, take off your name, and for that name, which is not a part of you, take all of me. Zayn's turn to read came up, but he just sat there looking at me with pure joy in his eyes. He sat there with a dumb smile on his face until Mrs. Foster told him to read. Zayn, I loved how she read. I could smell her from where I was sitting, and her voice was so sweet. I could never be bored if she could read to me all day. Zayn, Mrs. Foster said in a low voice. That's my turn. I believe you. Call me love, and I'll be new baptized. From now on, I will never be Romeo, I said as I watched my beauty blush. She always blushed, and her cute little face turned rosy, which made her freckles less noticeable. We kept reading until the bell rang. When it did, I got up and walked over to my love. Hello, sweetheart. I smiled down at her. She was so short, but for such a small person, she was beautiful. Hi, she said, her cheeks getting even redder. I asked, what are you doing right now? Walking to the bus, she said without any emotion. Oh, she has that interview thing today. The diner is a 30-minute walk from school but only a 12-minute bus ride. Can I drive you there? I mean to the diner. At that moment, my face felt like it was on fire. She smiled and nodded her head, and I took her small hand in mine as we left the classroom. We walked through the halls and out the door to the parking lot. I drove a 2020 Mustang that was dark blue and shiny. I know it seems like a lot, but it's my baby. My father and I own a multi-billion-dollar company together. You need to make money to support your family. Sienna stops looking at her, and I can see her eyes bulging out. I gently pull on her arm, and she comes back to reality and walks over to our car. Sienna, he drives a fast car. It's not a big deal, really. Zayn unlocks the doors, and I open them to show off the smooth black leather inside. The car smells like new and is very clean. As I sit down, I can smell both new leather and Zayn himself. I am so at peace. Zayn jumps in and starts the car. The car starts up with a roar. We quickly leave the school's parking lot and get onto the street. The car purrs as we drive towards the diner. We arrive in 5 minutes. Zayn parks his car perfectly. I don't need to be inside for the next half hour. The interview was supposed to start at 4:30, but it's now 3 o'clock. I look over at Zayn and see that his eyes are studying me. When he realizes I've caught him looking at me, his lips curl into a $1 million smile. He takes my hand and puts it on his lap, then kisses the back of it softly. His eyes are so full of love and care that I just want to crawl over the console and sit in his lap. He whispers to me, "Hey, babe, are you ready? Let's go get a shake before you start, okay?" His voice was so sweet, as if he was trying to charm me without any hesitation. I smile and nod. Clyde's diner is small and cute, with a black and white checkered floor and restored red leather booths that make it look like it's from the 1950s. The other waitresses wore short dresses and old-fashioned roller skates. They're cute and not too revealing, but they show just enough to get you a few extra dollars in tips. It was perfect. I could already picture myself working here. One of the waitresses rolled over her name tag and said, "Lulu," which made me laugh. She led us to the bar, where we ordered our milkshakes. I picked the double Aria Crunch with whipped cream on top. Zayn picked the Rocky Road Supreme, which was Rocky Road ice cream mixed with milk and topped with marshmallows that she burned with a mini torch. Then they put on some whipped cream, almond crumbs, and a cherry. Zayn and I sat quietly and talked about our day and other random things, like our favorite colors and foods. Zayn's favorite color is blue, and his favorite food is fried chicken, which I'm good at making. We got our milkshakes and drank them all up. I, on the other hand, got a brain freeze while Zayn drank his in a solid 2 minutes and felt nothing. Hello Sienna, I'm Mr. Clyde, but everyone here calls me Clyde. When can you start working? A man said this as he stood in front of Zayn and me. Hold on, does that mean I got the job? I didn't have an interview or anything like that. Well, I'll take what I can get. You should never question a good thing. I smiled sweetly and said, when do you need me? Zayn's point of view: I've been at the dinner for 2 hours straight, watching my queen skate around and give orders. She got the job 3 days ago and is so happy about it. I'm feeling a little on edge because our connection is getting stronger and the mating pull is making me feel that way. Theo and Dorian, my Delta, haven't talked to me much lately. Not only has our relationship gotten better, but I also found out that Sienna has been living in a motel. Asher begged me to mark her after seeing that. He has been trying to break through. I haven't even let him go for a run yet because I'm afraid he'll find Sienna and mark her. I need to tell her who I am and what she will be. I was going to do it in a month, but now I have to tell her tonight because it's so important. We can take mate hostage. She'll love us no matter what. No, Asher, we can't kidnap her right now. That's why you haven't been let out. Asher has been upset. And I don't blame him. At this age, I'm 18. My father was already married to my mother and had me on the way. I know that Sienna is too young to have kids, but I still want them. My lovely Luna skates up to me with a confused look on her face. Her blue doe eyes capture my soul, her long lashes blink, and her eyebrows furrow as if she wants to know something. Earth to Zayn, she says, waving her hand in front of my face. Her strawberry scent is wafting around me. Yes, my love, I say. Would you like to order something? You've been here for more than 2 hours. How about a burger and a shake? Or some ribs? Clyde just finished smoking them out back. She says in her sweet southern voice. I'll take it all, including you, my love. At that, her face turns as red as a rose. Not for 2 more hours, she whispers in my ear. I yell, Clyde, when I see his face come out of the kitchen door. I don't care if everyone in the restaurant is looking at us. Sweetheart, it's time for a break. I yell, looking at my girl's name tag. Clyde always gives them silly or sweet nicknames. For my sweetheart, he chose Sweetheart. Not a problem. Clyde shouts. When she says this, I grab Sienna by the waist and lift her onto my lap. She screams at this. I put my head on her neck and breathe in the sweet smell of her. I kiss her neck and look for the best spot to leave a mark. A moan comes out of her lips all of a sudden. Sienna whispers, "SS stop. It's not in public." I start to growl, but it's not me, it's Asher. Sienna gasps when she turns around and sees my eyes. That's their silver, she says, raising her hand to touch my cheek. She smiles at me and says, "So beautiful." How is she not afraid? Sienna's point of view: he's a wolf. I love him so much that I don't care. You might be wondering how I know he's a werewolf. It's a strange story. A look back 12 years ago. Hey, are you lost? Asked a nice lady with long blonde hair and blue eyes. She was short. I thought about how my mom looked. She would make the best mum. I nodded in response to her question and then hugged her right away. She picked me up and held me on her hip while rubbing my back. This is the first time someone has loved me like this, it feels good. I grab her hair and run my fingers through it. It's long and pretty. After that, I saw my uncle. He was walking strangely, and his face looked droopy. I wonder if he drank his magic water again. He walked up to us and was about to yell at my new mum and me when he suddenly stopped and smiled at her. I looked up at my mom, and she smiled back. A week later, she moved in. Her name was Meredith, and she was a werewolf. She was married to my uncle. He stopped drinking and got his life back on track. She was a beautiful wolf with a light gray coat. She would lie down in the grass in our backyard and let me comb my fingers through her fur and put butterfly clips in her coat. Meredith went for a run one day and never came back. Uncle Wade started drinking again. This time it was worse. He would hit me if I was around him. When I cried about my mom, he would yell at me and say that she wasn't my real mother, that my mom and dad left me with him, and that they didn't love me. He would forget to give me food. Meredith would always give me things, and we would even bake cookies together. She would ask me if I wanted more brothers and sisters, and I would always say yes. She wanted another child like me. I've never seen a picture of my birth parents, but I've always been able to picture Meredith. I didn't get to steal the last picture I had of her when I ran away. There is a picture of her and me on the swings at the park. I'm smiling at the camera, and she's smiling down at me. She always smiled at me. I've never been threatened by werewolves, they've only ever loved me. Meredith was the only real parent I had, and she left after 2 years. I leaned in and kissed him when I saw his silver eyes slowly turn back to their bright white. He tried to kiss me more, but I pulled away. Zayn, I work here, remember? I tell him off. He just laughed and pulled me close again, hugging me. Meet me after work. I'll be waiting here, he whispered in my ear and kissed my neck again. I nodded my head because I didn't trust my voice. After that, I slowly got back up on my feet and tried not to fall while on my skates. Then I went back to work taking orders and giving out food. Sienna's point of view: he was still sitting in the corner booth of the diner when my shift ended, just like Zayn had said. To say the least, I was very tired. I walked over to him, trying not to let my eyes droop. Zayn met me halfway and hugged me. I was so happy to be in his arms that I fell asleep before I knew it. Zayn's point of view: she looked very tired. I walked up to her and hugged her. Right away, I could feel her pulse slow down and her breathing get deeper. My sweet angel had dozed off in my arms. I picked her up, said good night to Clyde, and got in my car. At this point, I was holding Sienna on my hip. I opened the car with my free hand and slowly set her down in the seat. When I let her go, her face scrunched up. I gently closed her door and then went to my side and buckled both Sienna and myself in. After that, we left. It took me about 30 minutes to get home. I got to the pack house quickly, picked up Sienna again, and went inside. There was a lot of room in the pack house. My parents wanted a lot of kids, but my mom couldn't have any more, so they were very happy to have me. I went up to my room. My room was important because it had big windows that looked out over the forest in the back. My mum redecorated it when I turned 17, saying that it had to be nice for a lady to live with me. My mother made my bathroom look like $1,000,000. She even put women's products under one of the sinks, along with a hairbrush, a curling stick, and a hair dryer. It was disgusting that she put condoms at the bottom of my drawer. My room was on the other side of the house from my parents', which was nice because it gave us more privacy. I closed the door softly and walked over to the bed. I carefully put my angel down and covered her with a blanket to keep her warm. After that, I took a shower. I went into the closet, got some black trousers and a black t-shirt, and went to the bathroom. Sienna's point of view, I felt like I was on a cloud that smelt really good. I opened my eyes when I smelt Zayn. When I sat up, I saw that a soft, plush teal blanket was covering me. As I looked around, I quickly realized that I was in the most beautiful room I'd ever seen. There was a tiled fireplace and a cabinet in front of me. I thought the cabinet held a TV. There was a couch to my right that was right next to 3 big windows that looked out over a beautiful forest. I stood up from the bed and my feet landed on a soft carpet. I quietly walked around the room and opened a door that I thought led to a bathroom or a wardrobe. It was the closet, and it was a big one. I opened it up and saw that one side was full of Zayn's shoes while the other was empty. There were dark wood cabinets in the closet. I saw all of Zayn's trousers and shirts when I opened one. There was a round mirror, racks for shoes and handbags, a seat and a makeup desk on the other side of the closet, where his things weren't. As I turned to leave, I saw Zayn. He was leaning against the door frame of the closet and smiling at me. His hair was wet. He must have washed up. "Whatcha doing in here, babe?" he said in a low voice. I smiled back. He didn't trust my voice, so he walked up to me, put his hands on my waist, and leaned forward. My mind screamed, "Zayn is going to kiss me." I was so happy I leaned in, and then his lips touched mine. My body was filled with joy, pleasure, and pure bliss. His lips felt so soft against mine. Zayn kisses me softly and with a lot of love and care. As we kissed more deeply, I felt more feelings come out, like compassion and need. I heard a woman say, "Ah honey, look who Zayn brought home," as I pulled away from Zayn. Who might I say looked angry with the woman? "Mom. Really? Now you want to come in?" Zayn was not happy at all, but his face was bright red, which made him look cute for being embarrassed. I didn't know what was happening until I was pulled out of his hands and looked at his mom. "Oh honey, you're the cutest thing on earth. But boy, are you skinny? Don't worry, we'll have to feed you double that way. You guys can make the cutest grandbabies." Oh! I'm so excited to be a grandmother. Oh, and dear, you can call me Marlene. Oh, wait, no. Call me Mum. She squealed. "Grr grandbabies. Babies. I'm 16. Well, 17 next Friday, but I'm not old enough, and I have school." I stuttered. Zayn doesn't even seem to care that his mum brought up babies. Zayn's point of view, Sienna was everything to my mom. After talking about babies, she pulled Sienna over to our couch and asked her what size she was in, anything to do with clothes. She kept talking to Sienna about babies and baby names, which made her a little scared. My dad came in not long after that and said hello. My dad can be scary, especially since he's the boss. My father gave me my looks. The only thing my mother and I had in common was our white eyes. Sienna didn't mind meeting my family, in fact, she looked like she was happy to have them there. My dad thought it was cool that she wasn't scared of him. He also thought it was funny that my mum was always talking about babies. Stop talking about babies, they're still in school and not ready for kids. Sienna's eyes widened in realization when she heard the word mate. I could hear her heart rate and breathing speed up. Dad and Mom, please leave the room. I linked my mind right away, and they left without saying a word. I ran up to Sienna and hugged her to try to calm her down. Her body relaxed right away and molded to my side. Sienna's point of view, we're friends. Like Meredith was to my uncle. I have a friend. Oh my gosh! I didn't feel sad or mad. I was so happy. Meredith told me that partners are together for life, love each other, and have kids together. That's all I've ever wanted. It's too bad Meredith died. But I knew Zayn wouldn't really leave me. I looked into the eyes of the boy I would spend the rest of my life with and felt something I had never felt with Wade, unconditional love. I felt whole, and then I broke down and cried tears of pure joy. I was crying so hard that I was ugly crying on my soulmate's lap. I was hyperventilating, and my nose was running and my eyes were watering. I had puffy eyes and a red face. Zayn picked me up and carried me into the bathroom. He set me down on the beautiful granite countertop, got a box of tissues and carefully wiped my face. Then he gave me another tissue to blow my nose. I felt so much better after I had my much-needed breakdown. Looking up into Zayn's eyes, I saw them full of worry and concern. At this, I gave him a meek smile. I'll be fine. Those were tears of joy, not sadness. I'm so glad I get to be your friend, I said. Zayn's face lit up with his $1,000,000 smile. He took hold of me and lifted me off the counter so he could spin me around. Oh, thank goddess, I was worried you wouldn't want me. Asher was getting anxious. And I am happy you want to be with us, he said in a rush. Asher. Yes, my wolf's name is Asher. Oh yes, your wolf. Sorry, it's been a while since I've been around a werewolf, I said in a hushed voice. Zayn looked at me with interest at this. I told him about my aunt, who I called my mom. I told him about my family and how they died. I told him about my uncle and the abuse, and when I did, Zayn's eyes turned silver and he stiffened. He told me I could never go back and that I had to live here with him. I was very happy when I heard this. We talked about everything and anything until we realized it was dark outside. There was a knock on the door. I got up from Zayn's lap to open the door, which he wasn't too happy about. Marlene was there with her hands full of shopping bags, which surprised me. As he walked past me and into our closet, she smiled. Dear, I took it upon myself to do a little shopping for you while you were talking. I just got you some clothes, she said sweetly as she left our room to get more bags and bring them to the closet. There were a lot of bags and boxes full of shoes, jewelry, purses and a new backpack in style. She had bought every kind of shoe for women that people know about, from heels to trainers to flats. Then there were the clothes. I was surprised that she knew all the fashion trends, even though she was an older woman. "Oh my goodness, did you buy out the whole store?" I asked with a laugh. Marlene just laughed at what I said. She took the clothes out of the bags. They were all from stores I wanted to shop at, like Gucci trainers and Kate Spade bags. Abercrombie, American Eagle, PacSun, and Urban Outfitters also have clothes that are less expensive. Along with jeans and shorts, she bought t-shirts and crop tops. I was shocked beyond belief. In my 16 years of life, I've never had this many clothes. I'm sorry if I'm overwhelming you. I've always wanted a daughter, but I could never have one. Thank goodness I have you now, so be ready to be spoiled by Zayn and me." She chirped, her eyes held, hoping for approval. I smiled and walked over to Marlene, then pulled her into a hug. I whispered in her ear, "You know I've always wanted a mum. I'm so glad I have one now." Marlene smiled down at me and her eyes filled with tears. "Oh, I almost forgot. Dinner will be ready in an hour, dear. Why don't you wash up and try on some new clothes?" She smiled and left the room. I felt arms wrap around my waist, and the tingling ran up and down my back. I let out a sigh of happiness. And then it came to me. I only had one way out to get clean, and I really needed a shower. "Babe, I need to take a shower. Do you have a razor or something I can use that won't make me smell like a boy?" I asked. "Yes, there should be everything from razors to shampoo under your side of the counter," he said softly in my ear. At that, I let go of him. He groaned again, upset that I had left his arms. When I went into the bathroom, I saw that one side of the sink was full of his toothbrush and cologne, and the other side was empty. I was happy to find a razor, cherry blossom shampoo, conditioner, and body wash, as well as a few bath bombs, nail polish, women's hygiene products, and a brand new pink toothbrush and hairbrush when I went over and looked through the drawers. Wow, did his mum go all out? I got the things I needed to shower and then washed and shaved my body. I put on a towel and went to the wardrobe, which was every girl's dream at that point. For dinner, I wanted to wear something nice but not too fancy, so I chose a pretty white button-up long-sleeve shirt with an off-the-shoulder neckline, and a skirt with white embroidery. When I was done getting dressed, I walked out. Zayn smiled and walked up to me, kissed me on the lips, and I could tell he liked my outfit. He looked good in his button-down navy blue shirt and nice jeans. When I looked down, I saw that he was wearing trainers, so I ran to the closet and got a couple of heeled sandals. I was ready to go. Sienna's point of view, I thought that when Marlene said dinner, it would only be Zayn, Marlene, Victor, Zayn's father, and me. I didn't expect his whole family and some of his friends to be there. Everyone was introduced to me. Zayn's 4 aunts hugged me so tightly that I almost couldn't breathe, and his 5 uncles were nice enough to shake my hand. Except for one of his aunts and uncles who I heard hasn't found a partner, all of them had kids. There were about 80 people sitting at 10 different tables in their backyard. Some of the younger kids were running around in their bathing suits and jumping into the pool. I had never been in the water before. Marlene bought me a few bathing suits, but I never thought I would need them. Zayn smiled at all of his family and held my hand the whole time we were together. People kept asking me about my age, my grades, how many kids I wanted, and my family. I told them the truth about my parents' deaths, but I didn't tell them about the whole uncle thing. It looked like everyone in his family was sad because of what I said. I told them I wasn't sad because I was lucky to find another family. They all smiled at this and went back to talking and joking around. Marlene and all of her sisters and sisters-in-law made so much food that there was steak, baked potatoes, and cherry cobbler. I was shocked by how much gourmet food was spread out on the counters. Zayn told me during dinner that Theo was his beta and Dorian was his delta. Theo was still the same, making fun of Zayn and being sarcastic, but Dorian was quieter. He would laugh but never really tell any jokes, and he never looked me in the eye. It was strange, but I didn't think much of it. I was new, and everyone has a different personality and way of thinking. We said goodbye and hugged everyone after dinner. I was happy to be with them because I felt like I belonged and knew I wasn't alone anymore. We went up the stairs and into our room. I went into the bathroom without saying anything, took off my makeup, washed my face and brushed my teeth. Zayn came in and put his hands around my waist while I was putting the brush in its cup holder. When I saw our reflection in the mirror, I couldn't help but blush. It was kind of funny. It was amazing how different our heights were. I hugged my giant back after he turned around in his arms. Zayn picked me up and gave me a hug. He whispered in my ear, "Hey Sienna, we need to talk." I nodded my head. A lot of girls would be worried if their boyfriend said, "We need to talk," but I wasn't. I knew Zayn was my friend, and he couldn't leave me without hurting. Afterward, Zayn put me down gently. He took my hairbrush off the counter and led me to the bed. I sat on the end with my legs hanging off the side, and Zayn sat behind me and started to gently brush through all my knots. "So, I just wanted to talk to you about the Luna position you're going to have as my mate," he said. "Okay, what am I going to do?" I asked, a little worried about what he would say. "Well, you'll meet the whole pack and be like a mother to them. You know, help out when you can, and you might even have to help with the pack paperwork. My mum will probably have you cook too," he said, sounding worried about how I would respond. I thought it sounded pretty good overall. I liked being around kids and helping them out. I also loved cooking, and I was always good at school, so I wasn't too worried about the paperwork. "Okay, sounds good. I can't wait to meet the rest of the pack," I said with confidence. Zayn took a long breath. I didn't even know he was holding it in. I turned around on the bed so that I was facing him and put both of my hands up to his face. His eyes lit up with love and concern at this. I smiled and gave him a quick kiss on the lips. Even though it was quick, I could still feel the electricity go through my body. I leaned back, jumped off the bed and ran to the closet to get some pajamas. I chose a pair of plain black pajama shorts that felt like silk and went to Zayn's side of the closet. I found what I was looking for after looking around and took one of his Nike shirts. It was grey and had a logo in white on it. It was too big for me, it landed in the middle of my thigh. I went into the bedroom and saw Zayn lying on the bed in just his boxers. I couldn't believe my eyes when I saw the Greek god in front of me with his abs on full display. He was mine and no one else's. Zayn saw me staring at him right away. "Do you like what you see, Angel?" he asked with a smirk. "Yes." "Do you like what you see?" I said, putting one hand on my hip and the other on my head in a pose. Zayn laughed so hard that he couldn't breathe. I stayed in the pose until he was done, still waiting for him to answer. After he was done, he shook his head and said yes 4 times. At that point, I stopped, jumped on the bed, and snuggled into his chest, enjoying the moment and hoping it would last. Zayn Theo's mind connected with mine just as Sienna was falling asleep. "There's a pup at the border. He came from a neighboring pack and is hurt," Theo said in a panic. I said, "We're coming." "Sienna, wake up. You need to be a Luna now." Sienna got up right away and looked at me, hearing the worry in my voice. "What's wrong?" she asked as she got out of bed. "I'll tell you on the way," I said as we walked to the closet to get my clothes. "Put on some jeans and a t-shirt." Zayn's point of view, we quickly got dressed and began our walk to the pack hospital. Sienna finally got to see some of the pack houses, and she was amazed. Our pack houses weren't small, everyone had a pretty big house, and we all lived in a gated community so that people from outside couldn't get in. There was a big entrance that connected the community to the forest, but it was all private property. As soon as we got to the hospital, we ran to the child's room. There was a 3-year-old girl in the hospital bed. She was lying in bed with a broken right arm and a bruised face. Her hair was blonde and her skin was pale. She must have been the Alpha's daughter because I could feel the power coming off of her. She slowly opened her eyes and squinted as she got used to the light. Her eyes were blue, like my Luna's, but they were a little brighter. When she saw Sienna next to me, she weakly smiled. Sienna slowly walked over to her and pulled a chair up next to her bed. "Hello there, sugar. I'm Sienna," she said in a sweet voice as she introduced herself to the child. The girl laughed at Sienna. "I'm Liana and I'm 3 years old." "How old are you?" she asked with interest. "Where did you come from?" Sienna asked. Liana's face turned into a frown, and tears almost fell from her sweet face. "I'm 16 and going to be 17 in a little over a week. I'm from the Ember Fang pack. My mommy and daddy died," she said through tears. Sienna picked the girl up off the bed and held her in her arms, whispering sweet things in her ear. This hushed Liana's crying into soft sniffing. "Her father is Alpha Vaughn and her mother is Luna Arabella. They were both 21 or are now," I said in a voice loud enough for Sienna to hear. Liana had fallen asleep in Sienna's arms, so she slowly put her in bed and pulled me out of the room and into the hallway. Sienna, I couldn't believe that sweet angel was left all by herself to take care of herself. How could this have happened? "Zayn, what should we do? What happened to her family?" I asked in a low voice so I wouldn't wake up the child next door. He said, "I don't know what we're going to do. She's probably going to have to live with us because she's an Alpha's child. Her pack was probably killed by rogues because they were so small." This made me very sad. Her parents were so young. Their family was just beginning. Liana was the only one left in their family. I couldn't stop myself from crying. I know crying won't help, but I can't stop. Zayn held me close. I heard Liana crying in her room, so I ran in to see her turning in her bed with tears streaming down her face. She was having a nightmare, so I picked her up carefully so I wouldn't hurt her and held her until the tears stopped. At that moment, I knew I wanted her. I wanted her to be mine. He could see from the look on my face that no matter what he said, he wasn't going to take this child away from me. I know I'm only 16, but I couldn't leave her. She would have to be with us no matter what. Zayn's face didn't show that he was scared or worried about being Liana's dad. Instead, it showed pure joy. Zayn, I was so happy that Sienna wasn't ready to have a baby yet, even though she was already ready to be a mother to Liana. I knew my mom would be so happy because she wants grandchildren no matter what. Mom, I'm bringing home a grandchild. You're going to be a grandma. I need you to turn the room next to the nursery into a little girl's room. I linked my mind to hers. She might be a little mad that I woke her up, but she'll be fine once she hears Grandma. She replied, I'm going to be a grandma. I'll wake up your father. It will take us all day tomorrow to get her room ready, son. I knew that our family was getting bigger and would keep getting bigger. Sienna smiled at me with the biggest smile. Sometimes miracles happen after bad things happen. Our daughter was a gift from God. Sienna Liana was let go after 2 days and came home with us. I had been with her every minute. Thankful that it was the weekend. I hadn't skipped any school. Marlene came over, and we decided that she would take care of Liana while we were at school. When we got home, she would be ours for the rest of the day. I also told them that I would take a free period so that I could spend the morning with Liana and drive Zayn's Jeep to school. When we got home, Liana's face was completely shocked by how big our house was. But when she looked up at us, her face got calmer, and we took her inside and showed her around. We asked Marlene what room she was in, and as we led her there, she squealed and ran around looking at everything. I have to say that Marlene really did a great job with the room. It was every little girl's dream and made Liana smile right away. The princess theme was all over the room, and there were even dresses for her to wear. With a dollhouse and a play kitchen. I looked at Zayn to see how he felt about the room, and he looked surprised too. He whispered in my ear, my mom always wanted a little girl. Now she has 2. Sienna's point of view, Liana has been a part of our family for a week now. Zayn and his dad Victor knew people in child services, so we were able to adopt without any problems. Liana has finally made herself at home in our house and loves her new room and grandparents. We learned that a group of thieves had attacked her pack and set fire to the whole thing. There were only 10 other people who survived, and we were happy to let them join our pack. I finally went to the counselor's office to change my first period into a free period. They let me take my first period off and switch my periods around because of my grades. Zayn didn't like that I changed my schedule, so he went to the office to change all of his classes to mine. I was surprised that he ended up in all of my classes except the one where I didn't have to go. It seems that the counselor was part of our group and was willing to let him switch classes. Zayn is much more possessive now. When we went back to school, he growled at every guy who looked at me, which was kind of cute. Marlene said it will keep going up until he marks me. I'm a little scared of the marking process, to be honest. I woke up to the first day of school. We woke up at 6:30, which is when Zayn wakes up for school. It also gives me time to hang out with Liana before I have to leave. I have to work today, so I want to spend as much time with her as I can. Zayn was spooning me in bed with his arms around me. He slept very soundly, but I slept very lightly. I tried to get away from him, but I wasn't able to. I swear this guy is made of steel. I whispered in his ear, "Babe, it's time to wake up." He slowly opened his eyes and started to smile at me. I leaned in and kissed him, which surprised him enough to let go of me. I took him off of me and went to take a shower. It took me about 10 minutes to wash my hair, brush my teeth, and take a shower. I went into the closet to get ready for the day. I chose some blue shorts and a light yellow button-up crop top. To finish off the look, I put on some brownish beige booties that I had worn to school. When I walked into Liana's room, she was sound asleep on her stomach on her bed. She was so cute. She was also a very deep sleeper, just like Zayn. It's a relief that her nightmares have started to go away. She doesn't have them as often. She used to get them a lot when she was in the hospital, but not so much now that she's home. I quietly walked over to her bed, sat on the edge, and rubbed her back to wake her up. "Hey baby girl, it's time to wake up. Do you want some pancakes for breakfast?" I asked. Liana sat up right away, her blonde hair messy in her princess nightgown. I picked her up from the bed and took her to the bathroom. I made a French braid in her hair while she brushed her teeth. We went into her closet after that to get her an outfit for today. "I want to look like you," she said. I laughed at what she said and took a yellow blouse and a jean skirt out of her closet. She was happy with her outfit when she spun around in front of her mirror. That made us go to the kitchen. I took the eggs, bacon, and pancake mix out of the fridge and began to prepare our meal. Liana began to talk about anything that popped into her head. I heard Liana ask a question I wasn't expecting while I was making the pancakes. "Are you my new mommy?" she asked in a simple way, as if it wasn't a big deal. I put the fully cooked pancake on a plate, added butter to the top, and put bacon and eggs on the side. I walked over to Liana, put the plate in front of her, and sat down next to her. "Do you want me to be your mum, Liana?" I asked with hope. "Yes, I want you to be my new mama and Mr. Zayn my daddy." I smiled and hugged Liana, who was sitting next to me. I cried tears of joy. "Yes, baby girl. I'd love to be your new mum." When I cried, Zayn ran down the stairs. I put Liana back in her seat and then walked over to give Zayn a hug. After I hugged him, I pulled him into a nearby room to tell him about my most recent talk with our daughter. My news made Zayn's face light up. He was just as happy about the news as I was. "We have officially gotten what we wanted. Liana wants us to be her parents." Zayn's point of view. Sienna and I had a great morning, and the start of school was great too. I waited outside of calculus class for Sienna to get to school. I saw her come in through the doors of our school. She saw me right away when a boy stopped her and pointed me out. I knew who he was because I'd seen him before. He was named Marvin, had blonde hair, and wasn't very strong. Asher didn't like that another guy wanted to be with or around our friend. Don't let him near her, she's ours. Protect mate, Asher growled. Asher and I don't always agree, but this time we were both on the same page. I ran up to Sienna and put my arms around her waist to protect her. She started to laugh at this. I don't understand why she thought it was so funny that she was talking to another guy. Benny, this is my overly possessive boyfriend Zayn. Zayn, this is Benny. Benny, how's your boyfriend? She asked, laughing even more, and at this point, Benny was too. No matter what, he was a guy, so I made a mistake. The Marvin kids said, he's great. We're going on a date later today. For the next 3 minutes, they kept talking until we said goodbye and went to class. Most of our classmates were already in their seats, but a few kids were still hanging out and talking to each other. We don't sit together in this class. Sienna is next to a guy named Jace and Kayla in the front of the class. I'm sitting 3 rows behind her. Mr. Prescott began his speech. I was writing down the notes when I saw Jace lean in and whisper something to my friend. What in the world does he think he's doing? Sienna looked at him with a look of disgust on her face, and in less than a second, her hand had slapped him across the face. That was sure to leave a mark. Yes, I yelled. That's my love with pride. Which made the whole class laugh, along with Sienna's angry behavior. Our teacher didn't see her hit her, thank goodness. Mr. Prescott did give him a stern talking to after class, though. Sienna when Zayn was done with class. I took his hand and wrapped my fingers around it. I felt better right away when I felt our sparks. Jace asked me if I wanted to know what it's like to be with a real man. I had to hit him. I was furious at how he treated my friend. If there weren't a lot of students in the room, I probably would have punched him or kicked him where the sun doesn't shine. Zayn wanted to know what had happened, but I quickly ended the conversation. I told him we would talk about it later tonight. I love watching Zayn beat up Jace, but I also want him to stay at our school and graduate. We talked about Liana and decided that she would come to work with Zayn. It's so nice that he can tell when I'm sad or want something. I can't stop thinking about what he's going to do for my birthday tomorrow. Since Meredith was still with my uncle, I haven't had a birthday party. She had a big party for me and invited some of my friends from kindergarten. There was a piñata and an ice cream cake. That was one of the best times of my life. Zayn asked, "Hey, what's wrong?" and turned me to him. I didn't even know there were tears on my face. I quickly wiped them off. We had 5 minutes between classes, so I told him about my 5th birthday party. We sat next to each other in every class except calculus, and the rest of our morning classes went by quickly. I walked up to Kayla's locker, and then Zayn and I walked into the cafeteria together. I thought the greasy pizza we had for lunch today was a little better than the chicken sandwich. Zayn had told me to pack a lunch at home, but I said no if Kayla had to eat cafeteria food. I would like to. We picked up our food and sat down under the tree. Zayn brought cookies from home that I had made with Liana. Well, I made them and she ate the dough. He gave out the cookies. Theo ate his whole thing, while Kayla and I ate ours slowly, just like I did. Kayla, you should come to the diner tonight. You can eat whatever you want for free, I said. Kayla's eyes got big with happiness, but it was gone in a flash. I don't think I can. I have to look after my little brother and sister tonight, she said with a sad face. I smiled at her and said, the more the merrier. She nodded and said she would come with us tonight. Zayn asked Theo to join us for dinner at the end of my shift, and we all agreed. Zayn and Sienna went to the diner, and I went home. Liana tackled me to the ground as soon as I walked through the door. Hey Angel, how was your day? I asked her. Liana told me about her day and all the things my mum has done with her. What really got to me was the last thing she said. Oh, and Grandma took me to the mall and we got me earrings. They are so sparkly, she said with a smile. I couldn't believe my mom pierced my daughter's ears without me being there. That's nice, baby. I'll be back in a minute. How about you draw me a picture? Liana nodded, and with that, I went to find my mum. She was on the couch in our upstairs library, probably shopping online for either herself, Sienna, or Liana. When she saw me stomp in, she froze like a deer in the headlights. You put holes in my daughter's ears. I yelled. Zayn, don't you dare talk to me like that. Mom, what do you think Sienna will say to you? How could you do this? This is a big deal, and you shouldn't have done it. I said. My mom said, honey, I think you're being a little overdramatic. She loves them. She picked out the color of the earrings she wanted. I couldn't handle this right now, so I decided to just relax and spend the rest of the day with Liana until it was time to go see Sienna. Sienna's point of view: even though we were busy, my shift wasn't too hard today. I was getting better at working at the diner. Now I could easily roller skate and get everyone's orders right. Clyde told me I was doing great, which made me happy. In about 15 minutes, my shift will be over. I had just finished putting down some plates for our customers when I saw Zayn come into the diner with Liana on his hip. I smiled and waved, then went back to work. I asked the family I was serving if they needed anything else, and they all said no. I couldn't help but grab an extra napkin for the little boy who was eating chicken strips and getting ketchup all over himself. The mother thanked me, and then I went to the kitchen to get the other table's orders. I took my bag and went to the toilet after my shift was over. I changed into my school clothes. I saw Zayn and Liana both sitting in a booth that was bigger than the one we usually sit in. Liana came up and sat down next to me, resting her head on my shoulder. I couldn't help but see something shine through her hair. I could see a pink diamond stud in her ear when I brushed the hair behind her ear with my fingers. Hey, I see you got your ears pierced today. Did it hurt or were you a big girl? I asked with a smile. I was a big girl. It hurt a little bit, but I'm fine. Grandma even let me choose the color. She smiled at me with a big smile. I could tell that Zayn wasn't happy with his mother's choice. But I smiled at him to let him know that everything would be fine. Kayla came in a minute later with her little brother and sister. Her sister was 10 and her brother was 5. They both said hello and sat down. We told Kayla that Liana was my daughter. Liana looked a lot like me because she had blue eyes and pale skin. Kayla's eyes got big, probably because she thought Liana was my child. And even though we weren't related by blood, I didn't correct her when she got it wrong. Liana was mine. And Zayn's too. 3 minutes later, Theo came and smiled brightly at Liana, making her laugh. "What's up, Cupcake?" he asked Liana. In response, she told him all about her day with Zayn and her grandma. She also showed him her new piercings in her ears that her grandma had done. Liana was in love with Theo. Theo always brought her something nice when he came over, like ice cream or a Barbie doll. Calling him Uncle T. We all ordered our food. The kids got chicken strips, Kayla and I got cheeseburgers, mine with fries and hers with fruit salad. Theo had the roast beef sandwich and Zayn had the ribs. Everyone else ordered a shake, but Theo got a root beer float. After we ate, Zayn paid the bill, and we all said goodbye and went home. Liana was so tired that she fell asleep as soon as she got into her car seat. Liana was younger than most kids her age. Zayn and I had noticed that after we took her in. She was born too early, which is why she is smaller than most wolves. It didn't make sense that Liana had made it to our borders alive because she still hadn't moved. We started to think that a rogue might have dropped her off. That makes us wonder what they want. We got to the house just as the sun was setting. It was 6 o'clock, which meant Liana had 2 hours to go to bed. As we took her out of the car and into the house, she woke up. We chose to watch a movie before going to sleep. We painted our toes while we watched Tangled. Pink was Liana's favorite color. I painted them a shiny pink color. Liana was asleep next to me when the movie was over. I picked her up after turning off the TV. I woke her up to brush her teeth and then I took out her braid and put it back in so her hair wouldn't be a mess in the morning. She got into her pajamas, and I tucked her in. I left the room after turning on her night light. Zayn was working on his paperwork in his office. When I walked in, he was bent over her desk, signing papers and doing maths. "Hey, do you need any help?" I was then told to do maths for the company and the pack. We were done in an hour and went up to our room. I put on some knickers and a silk nightgown I found in my closet. I put my hair up in a big bun by grabbing a ponytail from the bathroom. Zayn was on the bed, waiting for me to come over. When he saw me leave the bathroom, he groaned, and I felt a blush rise from my neck to my cheeks. I crawled onto the bed and cuddled up next to him. When I brought up Jace, he got stiff, and then when I told him what he said, Zayn growled. I got up and quickly straddled Zayn. He looked at me with desire in his eyes when I did what I did. I bent down and kissed him. Zayn threw me down on the bed and we kept making out with him on top of me. Sparks flew through my body. He kissed my jaw and then my neck, leaving my lips. He kept kissing and sucking on my neck until he found the spot that made me moan, and then he stopped. I knew he wanted to mark me, so I quickly nodded to give him permission. He went back to my neck, and as I moaned again, I felt his teeth scratch the surface of my skin and then sink in. I yelled in pain, but as soon as it was gone, I felt nothing but happiness. Zayn licked the spot on my neck where he had marked me. We kissed again after that. His tongue ran along the edge of my lips, asking to come in. I said no, and in response, he bit my bottom lip, which made me gasp. Then he took his chance and slipped his tongue in, making us moan. His tongue fought for control and won. We pulled apart, and both of us were breathing hard. Our foreheads were touching. Zayn rolled over next to me and pulled me to him with one last kiss. We were asleep in just a few seconds. Beep. 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 The alarm went off. My pillow smells great. When I opened my eyes, I saw that I was wrapped around Zayn and lying on top of him. He pulled me to him and nuzzled my neck as I tried to get up. Boy didn't like mornings. I then remembered what happened last night and started to blush. Oh no. I have a friend now. Yes you do, Zayn said in my head. Happy birthday, love. Ah! I yelled. Zayn jumped out of bed and looked me over to see if I was hurt. What just happened? I said, stuttering in shock. Zayn, oh, I'm sorry. We can talk through our link. We can mind link because I marked you. She looked a little confused, but after I explained it, she seemed fine. Today was my angel's birthday. Happy birthday! Liana ran into our room with my mom behind her. Liana jumped on the bed and into Sienna's arms. Thank you, she said back with a smile. My mom had a tray of waffles with strawberries and whipped cream on top in her hand. My mom's eyes went straight to Sienna's neck, where my mark was clearly visible. It was beautiful. My mark had turned into a crescent moon, and at the edge of the moon was our names connected by an infinity sign. I couldn't help but smile when I saw it. I told Sienna to put on her bathing suit and an outfit over it after breakfast. I told Liana the same thing, and she waited for Sienna to help her get dressed. My love and our baby say I have no style. I wasn't going to school today because it was Sienna's birthday. Instead, I was flying the girls to Michigan to spend a couple of days at the beach. I called the company's captain a couple of days ago to tell him our plans and set up the date. My mom packed a suitcase for Sienna and a duffel bag for Liana. I packed my own bag while Sienna was at work so it would be a surprise. Sienna has moved from Kentucky to North Carolina, and from what I've heard, she's never been to the beach. Liana has NEV Sienna POV. I don't know why Zayn is so happy that I can't swim. I took a shower before I got dressed, making sure to shave. After I got out of the shower, I washed my hair and body and put my hair up in a towel to dry while I brushed my teeth. I didn't expect to see my mark, but when I did, it was beautiful. I started to cry when I saw our names on it. After my little happy tears, I put my hair up in French braids that ended at the base of my head and let my hair flow down my back. My mark was visible for all to see. I went into the closet and looked through my bathing suits. I found a cute blue one with a yellow rose floral pattern and high-waisted shorts that showed a little bit of me. I'm guessing Zayn wouldn't want other people to see me in it. It took me a while to find a cute outfit to wear over my suit. I wore a whitish dress with teal sandals and a cute little purse. The dress was a little short, but I wouldn't be wearing it for long if we were going to the pool. I picked up Liana and put her on my hip after I was done. I left the room before Zayn could say anything about my dress. Liana talked about how she and Grandma made breakfast while we walked into her room and over to her closet. I listened to every word she said as we picked out her outfit. We chose floral shorts and a shirt set with a matching headband. After we put her in the bath and cleaned her up, we brushed her hair and braided it into her hair. We put her bathing suit on her, which was a pink bikini with a shiny gold unicorn pattern on it. We walked down the hall to my room after we were done. When I got there, Zayn was sitting on the couch by the window in a pair of swim trunks and a fitted t-shirt that showed off his muscles. He smiled at both of us and put down his phone. He came up to me, kissed me on the cheek, picked up Liana, and whispered in her ear, which made her laugh. "What are you all talking about?" I say with a smirk on my face, and this made Liana laugh even more. Zayn put her down, and she ran out of our room and back with a small box wrapped in birthday paper with a bow on top and a card. I thanked her and opened the card. It was so cute and made by hand. There was a stick figure drawing of our small family on the front, and above it was "Happy Birthday" in Zayn's handwriting. When I opened it, I saw another picture that Liana had drawn of her and me with a bunch of balloons. It was signed by Liana in her messy but perfect handwriting. I bent down to give her a big hug and told her how much I loved the card. Then I opened the box. Inside was a brand new phone. My old phone didn't really work, and I guess Zayn noticed that it was the latest iPhone. It came with AirPods and a portable charger that was pink. In fact, everything was in light pink cases with sparkles. No doubt my little girl picked it out herself. "Thanks. I love the pink and glitter," I said as I pulled on Zayn's shirt so he could kiss me. Then I turned and kissed Liana on the cheek. Zayn, I had to buy her a phone with a tracking device inside. I whispered in Sienna's ear that it was just for protection because of the rogues. We went outside to the Jeep. I put Liana in the back seat and opened the passenger door for Sienna. Then I got in the driver's seat and we drove to the airport. Sienna's music, which was the Beatles and the Beach Boys, played. I set the alarm for 5 this morning so we could leave by 6:30. I was pleasantly surprised that we left by 6:40. My girls are good at not taking forever to get dressed. Our flight will be long, and we should get to our destination in about 6 hours, which means we should be able to spend the rest of the day at the beach relaxing. Sienna's eyes lit up when we got to the airport. She jumped out of the car and ran around to Liana, who was still in the car seat, and lifted her out. She put her on her feet. Liana is so small that she still mostly uses a pram because she gets tired so easily. I opened the trunk, took out our bags and set down her pram. After we buckled her in, Sienna pushed Liana through the airport while I grabbed the bags. We are very young to be parents, so most older women who saw us gave us dirty looks because we had a child. Most of these looks were directed at Sienna, who didn't notice them because she was focused on our little girl. We got to the scanning station, and they checked the stroller and lifted Liana into Sienna's arms. They both walked through the detector, and after I did, we put our shoes back on, grabbed our bags and headed to our plane. Since it was a private plane, we had to go to the FBO terminal. When we got there, we gave them our names and information, and they let us board the plane. Join our Facebook and WhatsApp group for more updates, link is given in description. Rest audiobook will be continued in next episode.